Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Wednesday's edition of To The Point podcast. Everybody's doing well. I'm your host, Noah Warren, as always, and a lot to get into today here on the show. For the first time, we're going to have a guest in the man cave. Shamus is in town. He's going to join me in about 40 minutes, so he's going to join me right beside me. He's going to sit right there. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. He went and saw Batman yesterday. So we're gonna get his movie review. I'm looking forward to that. I want to see that film. I'm not normally a superhero guy. I do love the Batman genre because I think it's anti-superhero. The Joker is one of the best movies in the last 4 to 5 years. I think it was really brilliantly done. Joaquin Phoenix, he's a fantastic actor. Walk the Line. I mean, you could name it. This guy doesn't have too many bad movies. So we'll touch on that. We're going to get to some NBA with Shamus. But there's still lots happening in the NHL, and the NFL dropped another trade on us, of course. They got to stay relevant even the day after they have two massive moves. But I want to start with our poll question today. And really, today's conversation is centered around who do you think who's going to be a top playoff team? Because you look at the NHL and Colorado is so far and away the top of the Central Division. You have Florida and Tampa that I think are a step above these other teams. Florida gets another win last night. They're very good. In the Pacific, Calgary, despite their loss last night, they look like a tired group. They played a lot of hockey lately, but they seem like they're stepping above the rest. And then you kind of pick through and say, well, the Metro to me is Carolina. So I said, in these divisions, who are the next best team, or who's the biggest threat out of the rest of the divisions? Out of the rest, who's the next best team? And I name one from each division, and you can vote on this on our Instagram page. Pull up the results in a second. But I included the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Los Angeles Kings, if you can believe it. They're quietly a very good team. I talked with them yesterday. I think they're good. I think they're going to be a tough playoff out. I had the St. Louis Blues. They lost last night, but St. Louis is a good group. They play strong hockey. They think they're smart. So I included St. Louis. And the fourth team I added was the Pittsburgh Penguins. And last Friday, it's hard to get that out of my brain. The Pittsburgh-Carolina game, I think that was a fantastic hockey game between two really good teams. Pittsburgh played Florida last night. I watched a lot of that game, back and forth affair, where I think you saw two good teams do battle. But I'm going to pull up the results, and I'm interested to see how people are leaning here. But as I pull it up here, on the To The Point Instagram story, actually leading the vote, and I'm surprised because this is my opinion as well. I have the Pittsburgh, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins leading the poll, which is, I didn't think it would be Pittsburgh. To be honest, I thought the Toronto Maple Leafs would get majority of the vote. I know there's a lot of Leaf fans out there. But I watched Pittsburgh last night. We're going to get to the Leafs in a second. We'll talk about the Leafs in depth with Shamus. He's an avid Leaf fan. But I look at Pittsburgh and I say, what's it about this team? They're not necessarily the most skilled. Crosby, still a great player, not as good as he once was. But I look at them and say, they just play good fundamental hockey. They block shots. They can play run and gun. They can go either style, but they grind. You see guys, their depth forwards, Brock McGinn, Evan Rodriguez, Brian Rust. All these guys are having pretty good seasons. But they all started as kind of cast-offs. Brock McGinn was in Carolina. He scored a Game 7 overtime winner to put them over the Caps. They decide not to re-sign him. He goes to Pittsburgh. Evan Rodriguez bounces through Buffalo and organization after organization, lands in Pittsburgh, finds some success. Brian Rust, again, an afterthought. Now he's He's got the 6 most goals since the turn of the calendar year. And you could say this the Sidney Crosby effect, but I would argue that this team has grown since then. In the past, Sidney Crosby lifted players that weren't very good. Chris Kunitz, Pascal Dupuis. But I do think that Pittsburgh has been a really good feeding ground for development, for getting depth players and making them better than they actually are, or getting the best out of them. Jake Gensel is not a great player just because he plays with Sidney Crosby. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't hurt. But Jake Gensel has scored more goals this season when Sidney Crosby was not on his line than when he has been on the ice with him. So it's not all about Sidney Crosby. Again, it definitely helps. But I think Pittsburgh has built just a funnel of, we don't have a whole lot of money. We don't got great draft picks, but we can win. And as I look through the poll, like I just mentioned on Instagram Live, Toronto, LA, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, out of those 3, as I view as the scariest playoff matchups for these top tier teams, I'm going with Pittsburgh 1. I have St. Louis 2. And I think all these teams could be scary. I think it all could win a round. I'm going to start by saying that right away. But I have St. Louis 2 because of circumstance. I think it's better to play Minnesota than it is to play Florida, for instance, or Tampa Bay in Toronto's case. Or if you're LA, you may get a Vegas if they're fully healthy. I don't think that's an easy matchup. But I think St. Louis, again, they're deep. They can throw a lot of players at you. Robert Thomas, Barbashev, Ryan O'Reilly, Kyrou. On the back end, you can go with Parayko, Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, and Ville Husso has been very good in net. So, and I just think St. Louis has something about them. They play a style that I like. St. Louis will never be a team in the regular season that really impresses you. If you remember in 2019 when they won the Stanley Cup, they barely made the playoffs. They were last in the NHL come January. They caught fire. They got in, and their style of play, the grinding game, key saves, defending at a high level, having forwards buy in, back check, that's suited for the playoffs. The one worry you'd have with St. Louis is, do they have enough firepower up front? They don't have Jaden Schwartz anymore. He was one of their most important players when they won the Stanley Cup. Alex Pietrangelo has since departed for Las Vegas. But I think the Central is full of teams that will grind you out, that play the same type style, physical affair, low-scoring games, and then there's Colorado at the top. They play completely different than the rest of the division when it comes to teams that could make the playoffs. St. Louis should. Minnesota, they need to play well, but they should make the playoffs. Dallas and Nashville are right there. All those teams other than Colorado play the same style. They play a check you into the ground, let's take time and space away, throw hits type of game. They're difficult to match up with. So how does Colorado counteract that? We'll wait and see. But in those 4 teams that I said in the poll, I have St. Louis 2. 3, I have Toronto. Up just slightly above LA. And this, again, I'm just going to reiterate for the new audience listening. This is 4 teams outside of division leaders that I see as the biggest playoff threats, possible concern for a top team. And the first one I had for me was Pittsburgh. I then had St. Louis, and I had Toronto. Again, Shamus is going to join me in about half hour, so I'm not going to go too into the weeds with Toronto. We'll really dive into them lately. But the biggest thing you could say is structurally, I hate Toronto. I love them in spurts. I think they play really and smart hockey, high skill level in spurts. Periods, you could say. But when it comes to their systematic play, being in the right spot, making smart decisions defensively, they're bottom 3. They have too many guys that seem out of place, that don't know where to go, that just look befuddled. So that's a concern. But the one thing you can say about Toronto, something that you could say, well, we're going to rely on this, is the fact that they have elite talent. Toronto can go goal for goal with you. Now, it's not often run and gun in the playoffs. Believe me, I know. But maybe this is the year Auston Matthews, he's having a hell of a regular season. Mitch Marner, despite Leafs fan base hating him, is playing the best hockey of his career. These two guys, maybe it's the year they wake up. And Toronto says, we're gonna play a series that's 6-5, but we're going to win it. The Ottawa Senators did this back in 2007. They're a team that comes to mind. If you recall, this is a long time ago. This is a little hockey historian for you. But they played against the Buffalo Sabres in the Eastern Conference Final. Game 1 was an 8-7 victory in overtime. Game 2, they won, I believe it was like 6-4 or something like it was run and gun. It was, let's not really defend well. Hope Ray Emery can make a few saves. And we got Daniel Alfredsson. We got Marty Havlat. We got Wade Redden on the back end. Let's score some goals here. Pat Lalime and Emery weren't exactly rock solid, but they got the job done. Emery was better than Ryan Miller. They got to a Stanley Cup final. Maybe Toronto can take that and say, we're weak at this. We need to focus on what I think I mentioned yesterday in the podcast is the key for the Maple Leafs to win consistently and be a threat come playoff time. Toronto needs to play 5-on-5 like normal teams do 3-on-3. What I mean by that is I'll explain it here. Puck possession. 3-on-3, you see teams throw the puck back to the goalie. The D circles back so you can get a full change so that you keep puck possession. That's the key to 3-on-3. It's less about defending, more about having the puck and your opposition doesn't. I don't know what Toronto's going to do with the trade deadline. I suspect they make a move or two, but I can only focus on the roster they have now. They need to control the puck. They need to limit their defending. And by controlling the puck, by having puck possession, it in part eliminates the opposition from getting scoring opportunities, from getting cycle after cycle, and things of that nature. So if Toronto can do that, they'll put themselves in a position to win. And maybe they can. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I think they have a lot of high-powered offense. They can score with anybody. And they got the Hart Trophy winner right now on their team. So you give them a little bit of a bump. And then I included LA in this list. I needed a team from the Pacific. I could have included Vegas, but I think Vegas can be a tricky playoff team. But at this point, I'm more convinced that LA is going to make the playoffs than Vegas. So I couldn't include Vegas. Vegas loses to the Flyers last night. Losing to the Flyers is not acceptable. The Flyers stink, point blank. They suck. You get one goal against the Flyers. I mean, Carter Hart is just hoping you score goals. That defense core with guys who, Justin Braun's waiting to get traded. He doesn't want to be there anymore. Keith Yandel got his Iron Man streak. He doesn't defend. I don't know. But it doesn't look good. Well, let's see what happens with Vegas. But I look at LA. I think they'll add a defenseman at the deadline now that Mikey Anderson's hurt. but they're not a skilled group, but they play extremely hard. They still have some of those guys that have won cups. I like that in a team. Quick and Peterson. It'll be interesting to see who would get the start come playoff time. I'm leaning towards Calvin right now. But I think they're a team that'll give you, that are going to be a tough out. I think if you remember those Vegas San Jose series, they were a war. They took a lot out of teams. I think LA can do that because they can play a physical game. They can stay with teams for large periods of time. So I'm interested in watching this team, seeing what they can do. But yeah, we'll wait and see. But we'll talk about the poll question again. Shamus scheduled to join me in about 35 to 40 minutes. So that should be fun here. We'll dive into a lot of different things. We'll talk about this briefly. What Auston Matthews is doing right now is quite incredible. And you have to give this man his flowers. I think it's a really polarizing topic, the Hart Trophy. And I see it both ways. I think oftentimes, and this sounds like a double negative here, but I think more often than not, Leafs players are given too much fanfare and not enough because you're like, oh, they're talking about the Leafs again. He might win a major award. I think there's often times that you mention a guy to win a trophy and it's kind of outlandish. To me, Michael Bunting is not the Calder Trophy leader. I don't think he should be in that conversation, quite frankly. I think Moritz Seider, Lucas Raymond are both better players, and they've had I think they're not playing with Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner. That's context that needs to be included. So I think Bunting being nominated for that award or even talked about is a bit of a stretch for me. So that's that point of it. But I think there's this reluctancy right now when it comes to the Hart Trophy to say, well, Matthews should be the Hart Trophy favorite or should be the Hart Trophy winner because he's a Toronto Maple Leaf. And I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's this fear by mainstream media and just by fans at large to take it away from McDavid, who is still the best player in the world. Matthews is a great player. This one season has not changed that opinion for me. I don't think it should change many people's opinions as a whole. But I do see this weird thing where Matthews leads the NHL in goals with 43. He's got 36 goals in his last 37 games, which is absurd. It's how are you going to do any better than that, quite frankly? But yet it's like, well, we don't know about him. Well, not only that, but his point totals, he's got 75 points. That's 4 more. That's 4 less than Draisaitl and McDavid. I see Brennan join the chat. Sorry to interrupt, but Toronto is still far from a playoff team. When will Dewis pull the trigger on a D-man? Auston Matthews is the king, elite 200-foot player. All I've ever is Florida to leave should go for Byram. While price may be low, in my opinion, he's going to be a great defender. Yeah, I don't think, Brennan, good to see that you're involved in the chat. I don't see Colorado trading Byram. I don't think that's happening. Maybe Sammy Girard. I don't think it'll be this year, but I think Sammy Girard could be a guy that could be moved down the line. He's actually got a good contract. I've talked about him a lot. I don't like him as a playoff performer, but I think he's a Toronto Maple Leafs special. I mean, you look at Sandin, you look at Liljegren. They love small defensemen. So I think Girard could be an easy fit for Toronto. I've heard Mike Johnson of TSN talk about, who Toronto should have at the deadline when it comes to defense. And he hates Ben Sherratt. I'm sorry. I just don't agree. I don't know why people aren't jumping on the bench. Like, get him now. Get him accustomed to your team. having two defensemen that are really good defensively is not a weakness. And that's where I think the game, the talk about the game of hockey has gotten worse. Because now if you're an elite two-way defender or just a defensive friggin' defenseman, you're penalized. You're said, well, oh, he can't score. He can't provide points. Well, can he get the puck out of the zone? Can he make the smart first pass? Sherrod can. Can he throw a check? Can he be physical in front of the net? Can he lift a stick? Yeah. That might say, how many times did Montreal last year in the playoffs, did Sherrod go on the ice against Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner? How about every shift? How successful were those two guys in the last 4, 5, and 6 and Game 7? Did you remember hearing their name? No. They might have got shots, but they didn't go in, or Sherrod blocked them. So I've said this for months, and I can't believe he's not there yet. If I'm trying to make these, I'm adding Ben Sherrod. I don't want another defenseman that's small. He's a UFA. He's a UFA, and I get why Dubas wouldn't want to do that because you have to give up to get a UFA. But to me, if you're not willing to acquire a UFA defenseman, well, do you actually believe that you can win? You should. You'd think. You got Matthews, the Hart Trophy winner. You got Marner. You got all the pieces you need. So why wouldn't you be thinking, well, we can win? Well, not adding a UFA defenseman, not trading another what's a first-round pick? If you win the Cup, you think Tampa gives a shit about their first-round picks? No, because they got Lord Stanley's. Yes, first-round picks hurt when you don't win, but how about building the best team so that you can win? But to me, Matthews is a great player. 200 feet, and he's the greatest goal scorer in the world, no doubt about it. And I do think there's two different topics. You can appreciate this regular season. You can appreciate that as of right now, I think he's winning the Rocket, obviously. He's got the most goals, so that you don't have to be voted in on that one. I think he's winning the Hart Trophy. And more often than not, if you win the Hart Trophy, you win the Ted Lindsay. That's normally how it works. Ted Lindsay is the MVP voted on by the players. So it's going to be an historic season. All-time great Leafs season. He'll pass Dave Keon for most goals in one season by a Maple Leaf. It's funny. Only 4 players have scored over 50 goals in the history of the Maple Leafs organization. 4 guys. If you can believe it. The team's been around a long time. It's not easy to do. That's not what I'm saying, but also you think, well, somebody would have done it a few more times than that. But you can appreciate, it doesn't have to be cynicism where you go, well, they're going to choke in the playoffs. I think you can appreciate this regular season, appreciate how good of a player he is, what he's done to this franchise, how fortunate you were to win the draft lottery. Because quite frankly, that was the best thing that's ever happened to the Maple Leafs in about a 15-year span. Still to this day, the best thing because they've had no playoff success. So you can appreciate what he's done. Appreciate what he's going to accomplish this year and rejoice in it. And then if he stinks in the playoffs, crush him then. I don't think it's fair to be, well, he's not a great playoff performer. Let's kill him now. How about we just wait? It doesn't always have to be hot takes. That's my approach. I'm going to wait. Because I have no problem pointing out when a team stinks or a player's not playing well. I did it last year with Toronto, with other teams, where guys came up small. If Sammy Girard meets me, he's probably going to kick me in the you-know-where. Because I talked about him about how poorly he played last year in the playoffs. But, good for Auston Matthews. And the season's not over yet. Draisaitl and McDavid could go on a tear. And Huberdeau's still right there for me, for the Hart, for the Ted Lindsay. I mean, does winning the Atlantic, will that count for something? I think it could. Because say Matthews wins all these awards. Well, that's good. But if you look at it and the Leafs finished third, just hypothetically, say Tampa or Florida finished first, the Leafs finished third, and Florida's first in that division, top in the Eastern Conference, and Huberdeau's top 3 in points, he's got an argument for sure. He could be nominated at the very least. I said this, it was either last week or the week before. I'm going to stick with my list. Hart Trophy today for me. This is based on what I've seen so far. Auston Matthews, Jonathan Huberdeau, Igor Shesterkin. Those are my 3 names. And I think it's idiotic to not include goalies. I read a piece this morning in The Athletic, and I was ready just to lose it, about how goalies should not be included in the Hart Trophy race. Okay, well, it's the MVP of the league. And what is more valuable in hockey than goaltending? It's the most important position. In the NFL, it's virtually impossible not to win the MVP if you're not a quarterback. If you're a quarterback in the NFL, you win the MVP. If you're the best player, Cooper Kupp was pretty good last year. Nobody ever thought he was going to win it. It was Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. But juxtaposing it, in hockey, a goaltender, it's even like 4 to be nominated. 2 goalies have won the Hart Trophy. Oddly enough, they both played for Montreal. But to me, Shesterkin, Matthews, Huberdeau, that's subject to change. Johnny Gaudreau is right there. If Calgary keeps playing well, they keep winning games, and if Gaudreau leads the NHL in points, he's got a good argument. You went from a team that some people said they weren't going to make the playoffs. I had them making it slightly. I didn't think they'd be this good. Some people had Brad Treliving fired. Me. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Still might be losing the playoffs. He still might get fired. But it's a wait-and-see approach right now. But to me, right now, Matthews, Shesterkin, Huberdeau. Those would be my Hart nominees. Who wins it? Who's your Hart Trophy winner? Leave that in the comments. I think I know who most of you will vote for, but if you want, leave your Hart Trophy winner in the comments section and have your voice heard, and we'll talk about it. But I think it's going to be a battle to the end of who wins these awards. You know, Shesterkin will likely get nominated for the Hart, in my opinion. Jacob Markstrom could still win the Vezina Trophy. She's been unbelievable. He leads the NHL in shutouts. So everything's subject to change. But again, I give credit to Matthews. He continues to go on a tear. But for the Maple Leafs, they need to continue to find their game. I'm going to save that conversation because Shamus is joining me real soon. He's a Leaf super fan. So we'll get the fans' perception of the Maple Leafs and how they're doing, what they're going to do at the deadline. But I do think they need to make a few moves if they're going to really get there. But we'll also talk about we're gonna play a game when Shamus gets here, and it's gonna be called "What Game Did I Watch Last Night?" Because I watch obscure games all the time. When everybody says, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this game," I'm a contrarian by nature. I will watch the game that nobody thinks that anybody would watch. I'll watch a team that people think stink, and oftentimes that team does stink. So I'm going to get Shamus to guess the game that I watched last night. I think that'll be fun, and I don't think he's going to be able to guess it. He's got a good gauge of me. He's a good guy, good friend. But I don't know if he will. I'm interested to see. We'll touch on that when he gets here shortly. NFL. Let's talk about this briefly. Yesterday, you get Russell Wilson going to Denver. Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. So, I talked about the NFC and how it's loaded. The NFC is really devoid of talents, devoid of elite quarterback play. I talked about how I think Arizona, San Francisco, Green Bay, and LA are really the teams to watch right now because they have quarterbacks, they have really good teams, and Tampa's kind of an X factor if they could acquire a quarterback. Well, AFC's loaded. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Patrick, Freudian slip there, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, now Russell Wilson. So I was thinking, well, there's not going to be much more quarterback movement outside of free agents. Jimmy Garoppolo will likely get traded, so he'll be on the move. But I didn't see much more headlines coming. But of course, I get thrown a curveball today, and I read from Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network that the Indianapolis Colts have traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. On this podcast, I'm going to call them the football team, for 2 second-round picks, including a 2022 second-round pick. And the biggest news in this deal is that the football team is going to take the last 3 years of Wentz's contract that he signed in Philadelphia, meaning that they don't retain any of that salary. They will pay us $7 million roster bonus, which will be due next week, right before free agency. So in essence, this is a salary dump. Carson Wentz was in Indianapolis for 1 season. He was a game away from getting to the postseason, but they had one of the biggest choke jobs, one of the biggest laid eggs in the history of the NFL when they lost to Jacksonville by 15. A 2-win team at the time. So, this is interesting because it tells me a couple things. Number one, it tells me that this year's draft class, I watch a lot of college football. I've seen Kenny Pickett play a lot at Pitt. I see Matt Corral play even more at Ole Miss just because he plays in the SEC and that's what's on TV a lot. But it tells me that this year's draft class is not particularly strong. And why I say that is because Washington has the 11th pick in the draft. Now, Washington could still select a quarterback. Maybe Washington is high on Malik Willis. They could take him at 11, and he could sit behind Carson Wentz. But I'm sure Washington, who have been middle of the pack, missed the playoffs, make the playoffs off and on in the worst division in football in the NFC East for a number of years, see Carson Wentz and think, well, the NFC is so weak, maybe Carson Wentz can get us to the promised land. Now, I think this is idiotic thinking. I think there's times where Carson Wentz is the elite of the elite. But I look at Washington compared to Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis has a better offensive line. They got Quentin Nelson, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Ryan Kelly, who's a perennial Pro Bowler. Trent Williams isn't in Washington anymore. Brandon Sheriff is a free agent. He's going to be departing. So there's your first weakness. At running back, it's not close. J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson are good backs. There's no Jonathan Taylor there. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in football, had a great season. So there's a downgrade. Receiver. It's interesting. I like Terry McLaurin a lot, who played at Ohio State. I think he's better than Michael Pittman. I think he's a really smart route runner. So I would put at number 1 receiver, I would say I like him better. At tight end, it's close. Jack Doyle of Indy is good. They also have Mo Alley Cox, who can catch the football. But I like the situation in Washington, so it's pretty close there. Defensively, Washington has a good defense. It was supposed to be elite this season. They do have Chase Young, who's going to be coming off an ACL tear, but you got to hope that Chase can find his old form. Then you have guys like Sweat and De'Aaron Payne. Basically Alabama interior defensive line were really good. Secondary, not quite as good. Landon Collins is good. He's a Pro Bowler. But, there's no Darius Leonard on Washington. He's one of the best players in the NFL for Indianapolis. Xavier Rhodes had his good and bad days in Indy. But bottom line, I think this is a desperate move from the Washington football team, a.k.a. Commanders. They haven't had a great quarterback. Honestly, they haven't had a great – Kirk Cousins was a good quarterback. But they never won a playoff game with him. They never were a threat. They never were on the map since RG3. That was in 2012. Robert Griffin III, it was quick, but he won Rookie of the Year out of Baylor. Andrew Luck went above him, and most people would say Andrew Luck had a better career. I'm not arguing that. But RG3 was special. He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. He had all the tools. Didn't learn how to slide. Didn't learn how to avoid taking huge shots, huge hits. But Robert Griffin Jr. III was phenomenal. Washington was relevant. They were talked about. Now, the Washington football team are known as the team owned by Daniel Snyder, the guy who's always involved in scandal after scandal, whether it comes to cheating, whether it comes to the way he treats employees, the way he's dealt, had women come out and say he sexually assaulted them, and poor quarterback play. If Washington didn't have Ron Rivera, this team would be looked at even more poorly than they already are. So I think Washington says, we're in the NFC East, the Giants, new head coach. They're transitioning. Daniel Jones is a guy we don't necessarily trust. I'm reading the Giants might be in on Mitchell Trubisky, which I actually don't think is a bad idea. He's a better quarterback than the media would give him credit for. He had a good run in Chicago. He got them to playoffs. So that could be a quarterback battle there. But I like that for the Giants. I don't think they're going to be a threat by any means. The Cowboys. The Cowboys will be talked about a lot. We know that. But, they're going to lose Amari Cooper. They're likely going to cut him. They might cut Tank Lawrence. Ezekiel Elliott is a wash version of himself. Dak Prescott plays great against poor competition. Plays great against plays terrible against elite competition. So that's why he's always playing well against Washington, because they've stunk the last couple of years. But I think Washington wants to be relevant. They couldn't go through another year where they had Taylor Heineke at quarterback, where it was Taylor Heineke or it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was just a guy that you knew wasn't going to win you games. It was a guy going into the season where you said, okay, more likely than not, we're going to miss the playoffs. Now, that could be the same fate here, as funny as that sounds. Carson Wentz has led teams to playoffs, but I just talked about last season. But I think just Carson Wentz is a big name. He's talked about a lot. He's had a polarizing career. He was in Philadelphia, going to win the MVP. Nick Foles comes in after he blows his knee up. They win a Super Bowl. He's a polarizing figure. People have an opinion of Carson Wentz. People have a body of work. It'll at least get people talking about the Washington football team for reasons other than extracurricular activities in a negative fashion. So this is desperate, but this is their best option. Now, I'd make the argument that Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Because Jimmy Garoppolo has been on teams that win. Carson Wentz has a better arm, he's stronger, he's more athletic. But Garoppolo's won in situations. I haven't seen Carson Wentz do that. His teammates really seem to love Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see that with Carson Wentz. But in Washington probably couldn't wait. They wanted to get their ducks in a row. And what's the most fascinating with this trade is not, if Washington's going to be any good. It's, Carson Wentz is back in the NFC East. Carson Wentz is going to play the Eagles twice next season. He's going to play the Indianapolis Colts next season. He hasn't returned to Philly since the deal. How's that game going to go? I can't wait. Can't wait for that. But for Indy, I don't know where this leaves them. Maybe they looked at the AFC and said, okay, we could have Carson Wentz compete because our division is not that strong. Houston's decline. Jacksonville, hopes they can get better. Trevor Lawrence can develop. And Tennessee's in our way. Maybe we could. But they likely didn't want to pay Carson Wentz a bunch of money. And they didn't want to cut him so that they had a bunch of dead money on their books. So now I'm starting to run my brain. Is there another guy? Because I think this team is too good to have a full rebuild. And my thought now, the only guy I can really think of is it Jimmy Garoppolo to Indianapolis? I thought it was Pittsburgh forever, but it's a game of musical chairs, and there's only so many seats. And now I'm thinking, Jimmy G might be an Indianapolis Colt next year. And if Jimmy G's an Indianapolis Colt, it's not a bad landing spot for him. Frank Reich's a good coach. They're in a division where you're playing Houston, you're playing, like I just mentioned, you have a good chance at winning those 4 games. Then you battle with Indy. Now, the AFC is much tougher than the NFC, but it's a better situation than it could be. But for Chris Ballard, the GM, for Frank Reich, but in particular, Irsay and Ballard, the owner and GM. I saw right before the podcast, Darius Leonard tweet out, he's entering his 5th season in the NFL. This is his 5th different starting quarterback to start a season. That's not good. There's no continuity. You're learning a new offense. There's a new name, whether it's Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck, Scott Tolzien. You're running through players. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's interesting. Certainly is interesting. And nobody can see him, but he's coming in here off camera. Shay's here soon, but yeah, the NFL is constantly creating content, and I'm here for it. And Washington football team trying to get in on the fun. They're not a great team, but let's bring him in here. Shay.
How's it going, brother?
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you. Place looks good.
Thanks, man. Come have a seat.
Place to lead.
How you doing?
Good, and you? Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah, first guest in the man cave. Slide on in here.
Yeah. I don't know. What's the protocol here?
No, we're good. It's no COVID in here.
Okay,
So,
okay. Sounds good.
No, how's the Batman?
Oh, we're starting with the hard questions.
Yeah,
I
want to get the movie review. Man.
Okay, I was gonna wait till the end, but no. Overall, great movie. Super dark. Love the atmosphere. Thought everyone who was in it played a really, really good role. To be honest, like Passon was amazing, but still not better than The Dark Knight. I will say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, and that's a tick in my head. I had the whole movie. I'm like, oh, like this compared to whether it was the Riddler versus the Joker, or comparing the two Catwomans or anything really. But like I just kept doing that, which I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have just enjoyed the movie. You know what
Right.
I mean? So I think it'd be a really good second watch even. And I think I probably will watch it for a second time this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, but it's overall super good. Anyone looking for, a movie night or, taking the wifey out for din and then go for a flick, Connor into go watching this movie because it's worth the admission, honestly.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that because I want to see it, obviously.
Yeah.
So it was dark.
Yeah, it was darker themed and like it didn't feel like a superhero movie. You know what I mean? I know we kind of use that as cliche, especially about the Dark Knight, but
Right.
it didn't feel like a superhero movie. It felt more realistic because like he had flaws and there was things that he screwed up on and then got better. So you saw the progress of the character throughout the movie.
I like that.
But yeah, no, overall loved it. It was phenomenal.
Oh, good. I'm happy. I'm more excited to watch it now.
Yeah.
But so was Zoe Kravitz? She's Catwoman, right?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, because she's hosting SNL this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So,
seemed to be some good on-screen chemistry between the two. If you know what I mean.
Oh, really?
But I know she goes. I think she goes out with Channing Tatum right now.
Oh,
So
well,
who knows?
Scrap, like celebrity.
Yeah,
fights,
yeah.
Like,
I wonder if she'll make. If she's hosting SNL this weekend, I'm sure it'll probably be brought up at some point.
yeah.
Because they have some risky scenes. We'll call them.
Okay.
Yeah, if you know what I mean.
I like that. How was Paul Dano?
Good. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Anyone who doesn't know Paul Dano, he was in Prisoners. He's kind of I don't know if you want to call him main bad guy /
Yeah, well, he was
creepy guy
he was
in
an
that.
abducted kid.
Yeah.
And then he like helped her abduct.
Exactly.
his
Yeah.
children. So it was,
Yeah.
it
But
was
he's
this
brainwashed.
weird, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was super excited to see he got the role. Because
Yeah.
he's so.
And he's not a guy you see his face a lot, but because you know who it is and you know his
Right.
voice, he does such a great job of just being that role and playing that like almost crazy maniac that just like it's just running rampant around the city, basically. Right. But it also has a lot to do with corruption and stuff to go on with the legal system. So I thought it was really interesting because it touches on a lot of different things.
So yeah, that's good too because I thought that's why I liked Joker so much because it's touching on mental health, it's touching on people that are from low income communities.
Yeah,
it's less about supernatural, and that has its place. Don't get me wrong, but just to have that type of conversation.
Yeah, and it's I guess like no spoilers whatsoever coming from me, but the final reveal on I guess the Riddler's master plan was super cool. And just keeps you on your toes basically the whole movie, thinking like what's next.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be like Pattinson will do another?
I don't know. It can be set up so that there could be multiple movies. Is the way I will say it because just you could, without giving anything away, there's a lot of potential for people who are in the flick now to be big parts of the next 2-3 movies, whatever they end up doing.
Right.
Yeah. And I hope they keep the same theme of, like a dark, morbid city that's like basically corrupt and, all those themes. As long as they keep that, like it'll be a successful franchise. It'll be just as good as Christopher Nolan's.
Right. Was Pattinson better than Christian Bale?
Wow. That's tough. That's a tough ask. They're very different. Okay. One's like goth emo boy almost.
So Twilight.
Yeah. Well, no, not like a little Twilight, I guess. Yeah. A little Twilight-ish, but it's not. He doesn't. For one, he doesn't talk a lot. Like even when he's not Batman, like when he's just Bruce Wayne, he just doesn't say much.
Really.
So it's interesting.
Polar opposite then.
Yeah, and he's not like a playboy. Like he's not like going around with a yacht full of women or anything like that. So. Two very different characters, but if I'd say I did enjoy one or the other, I'd probably pick Bale's just because I've watched him more and, I think it just resonates with me more. I'm not an emo guy. Like I'm not putting makeup on my face. So
right.
But we'll see. I'm excited for you to watch it and then get your review.
Yeah, no, me too. That's good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Today's poll question. I wanted to ask it.
Okay.
So I excluded kind of all the division leaders and teams we kind of think are elite of the elite teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't put Florida in there. I didn't put Carolina.
Okay.
Colorado, Calgary. But I included the Leafs, the Kings, Blues, Penguins. Who of those 4 teams do you think is the biggest playoff threat in the NHL?
Leafs, Penguins, Blues, and
Kings.
Yeah. This is going to pay me to say not the Leafs.
It could be the Leafs. That could be the answer.
A big question for me, I guess, relies on, and I'm going to say the Penguins, which might surprise some people.
Yeah, that's my answer too.
Was it? It depends on how well Jari plays in the postseason,
right?
And leading up to the postseason, because he can be great right till game 82, but if he just even loses it for a second during the postseason, it's done. And I don't think they strong enough to save him.
Yeah.
It's not like a Chicago Blackhawks, that franchise where you had Brent Seabrook, Duncan Keith, Yarmulson basically taking over and helping out Corey Crawford, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I see it. But I just think they're a threat, and they've just got good pieces all around. And Jake Gensel sees. I know you probably talk about him every week, but you just elite,
good player.
Yeah, and it just at least I'm glad he's finally getting recognition for being that scoring / playmaking winger that he has, because you didn't have Crosby. Malkin didn't play until maybe 10 games ago, so it was on his back for most of the season to do that.
Yeah, because it was always, he's another Crosby product.
Yeah.
And that was never, he's not a Kunitz. He's not a Dupuis.
Your favorite player,
yeah. The two people that would hate me if they met me more than other people.
Yeah.
Maybe a few of them. But Kunitz and Sammy Girard, because I just kill them all the time. But Gensel is, I think he's a top 25 player in the world. He's got an elite shot. He's really smart. And like you said, he's got more goals this year when actually Crosby's not playing with him than when he does. So he started their run to where they are now.
Yeah.
And I like the Penguins too, because I just think they have good depth.
Mm-hmm.
McGinn was a good pickup. I like him a lot. Rodriguez obviously has had a great year. I'm missing a few here off the top of my head.
Kapanen he's just doing his steady thing, but he's still okay.
He plays hard. So they fit well, and I agree. I don't love their decor like you, but they can play a game where it's not so much based on their goalie or defense core to bail them up.
Okay, so if first or second round they get matched up with Carolina, do you think that's a fair? Do you think Carolina would steamroll them, or do you think that'd be a fair matchup?
I think it'd be pretty close. Yeah, I agree with you. It depends on Jari, but you also got to look at Carolina and say they got Freddie Anderson, so he's not exactly
playoff proven.
Better than anybody. He's not exactly Mr. Playoffs, right? So I think it'd be a good back and forth. I like Carolina's team better, but I watched them last Friday. Great game, went to overtime. So I think it'd be close. I would favor Carolina slightly, but I don't think it's Pittsburgh's done. I think they're better this year than they have been the last couple, even though they make the playoffs and they get there. I think they're better off this year to go on a run than they were even last year.
All right. What was the poll saying?
Pittsburgh was actually leading.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah.
Toronto was second, followed by the Blues and then the Kings. But
the Blues have just fallen off, I feel, since they've been and that's saying something, because I think they're second or third in the Central right now, but I don't feel like they're as strong as they were in the beginning of the year, and I'm not sure. And obviously, I think we got into the goalie conversation last week. Mm-hmm. But I'd be surprised. I think they need to make a move if they want to stay relevant with some of these teams, just like Colorado, the Minnesotas, those teams.
Yeah, I think they should, because the West. People love Colorado more than I do, but I look at a team like Calgary. Toffoli's hit. He's got 7 goals in 11 games. He's been really good. So that's an addition. But would you be afraid of Calgary? I wouldn't, because they don't have – I like their team, but they have no playoff history. Colorado has playoff history of failing. So if you're a St. Louis, if you're one of these teams that are Minnesota even, if you could get in, I don't think it's like the East where you're running a gauntlet. If you can get to the final, the East team has to play all these tough teams. You're in a good spot, and you have to beat lesser teams to get there. I'd be pushing all in if I'm one of these Western teams.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you've already touched on it this week, but Nashville is great with what's going on with Philip Forsberg. Mm-hmm. My opinion is
Yeah, what should they do with him?
It's so crazy, and I've gone back and forth whether you keep a guy like that because this could be obviously his last year there, and because he's he's gonna have 40 goals this year.
Yep.
And a 40 goal scorer doesn't come around like that often. If he thinks that he's not gonna get the money there, that's different. But you owe it to the franchise, and to your point, if you can string off some wins and get a few upsets, there's no saying that you can't make it to the Cup final.
Right. Yeah. I said the same thing about Dallas yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
I feel differently about Dallas, but I can see that.
They were in the final 2 years ago, and nobody thought they'd be there.
Yeah, true.
Udobin was a backup goalie. Ottinger's he's very green. He's very new to the NHL, but he's still a good goal. I think he plays well almost every night. But yeah, Nashville's interesting because they're a good team. I like the way they play, and Saros is really good.
Yeah, he's a top
smallest
5.
goalie in the NHL.
Yeah,
He's
is he really?
Yeah.
Was he like 5? Is he
He's
6?
like 5. No, he's like 5'9".
Oh, that just makes him even more impressive. Like he just every year he seems to get a little bit better. It'll be scary to see it. Like I don't even think he's hit his prime yet, which is incredible because he's already playing at that high of a level.
And you got like Johansson's found it. Duchesne has
this
turned
year
it around. So good for Nashville because they could have wrote it off a long time ago.
Absolutely.
I also want to play this little game with you.
Okay.
All right. It's called What Game Did I Watch Last Night? Because I know we always like to have this conversation. I text you about about games, about teams that I watch. And
this is hard because there was I felt like all 30 teams played last night. It was crazy.
I'll give you a hint. There's at least one playoff team in this game. So
okay.
I thought more than one.
I thought you were gonna say Arizona steamrolling Detroit, and I would have walked out of the studio. I swear to God.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so one is a playoff team.
At least one.
Maybe both. Okay,
Maybe both.
So it was a tight.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't Winnipeg and New York then.
No.
I don't know.
It was Winnipeg and it was Dallas and Nashville.
Was it?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Last night. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. That's your go-to because there was some great games last night.
I watched Florida and Pittsburgh. Too.
Okay, well that makes up for it a little bit. You watch one like that and you watch another. So was it? It was a good game.
It actually was. Yeah, it was grinding kind of. That's why I looked at both, and Nashville scored with a minute 44 left to win.
Oh, okay.
So they ended up winning, but they're both battling for wild card slots.
Yeah, they are.
You got Edmonton, we're up to lunch, and it's tough because I was talking about this the other day. Vancouver is still kind of in it. Like they are because, Minnesota's falling off. You got Dallas who are playing well, but you got teams like Vancouver, Dallas, Anaheim. These teams are still in the hunt, but have guys they might want to trade.
It's such a tough scenario.
If you're Vancouver, let's start with Vancouver first, and we'll go to this other team.
Okay.
Do you continue to push? Like they got Montreal tonight. It's only 2 games in NHL tonight. They got Montreal. So you think they'd win, but
who knows?
Beating everybody.
That's fair.
Do you trade JT Miller or do you hold on?
Yeah, we touched on this last week too a little bit, but
as they continue winning, it gets more difficult.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you're getting you're getting a first round pick for him guaranteed if you trade this guy.
Yes.
I don't know, but for a team like Vancouver. And knowing that they have Thatcher Demko and seeing what he did in the bubble a couple of years ago, right. I would be very intrigued to say if we could get there, what could happen.
Yeah.
And going back to what we said about the West and not being a super difficult conference, I would probably keep them this year for sure.
Right.
I don't even know who their new GM is. I'm kind of
Jimmy Rutherford.
Right. Yeah, Jimmy Boy. If I'm him, I'm keeping JT Miller because JT Miller and Thatcher Demko run that team. Mm-hmm. And they've got other guys who've just kind of picked it up as things gone along. Right. One of those guys is Pedersen.
Yeah.
It really, So that's my take, anyways. Like knowing that a few of these guys last year in the bubble were just so good. Mm-hmm. Who knows? And that's a totally different atmosphere too, right? Like obviously playing in front of an actual away team, like going into Minnesota. I always thought Minnesota was like just scary to go into now because they just got passion. passionate fans, right? So that's me. But what about you? What do you think?
I would probably hold on to him too. It would just depend. Like if I got an offer and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you a first, our top prospect, and another player on our roster. That's hard to say no to.
Yeah.
That's really hard to say no to because you're going to get more now than you will next year.
Absolutely.
And I think it's about looking at the team and I'm not confident they're going to make the playoffs next year because they don't get a whole lot of money. And you still got Demko, so you got a chance. But even so, we saw this year, you can only play at 950 hockey so long, same percentage, before you get tired or you lose 2-1. So if I get a great offer, I'd probably deal him. And that's a tough pill to swallow for a guy like Pedersen. Pedersen just got some money. Shut up. You didn't play for the first half of the year. We wouldn't be in this position. Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so I think it's almost not on Vancouver. It's on the other team to say, how bad do we want him?
Yeah.
Like in New York, how desperate are they going to get?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rangers are an X factor because they're going to get somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And JT Miller makes a whole lot of sense there. But if they're like, okay, we think we can win. We got cap money now. We'd have him for 2 kicks at the can. Let's go. Let's go make that move. Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, if Rutherford says, hey, this is just too good of a deal to refuse, I could see that too. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's like a big deadline acquisition. You know what I mean? Just like something crazy. One of my favorite days of the year, obviously. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Anaheim. They big fire sale. Fire sale. Fire sale if I'm in Anaheim. And I'm not talking like, I don't know. It's tough because you don't want to blow it up all the way because you like some of those guys. But Manson and Hampus Lindholm are those 2 guys that are staying next year. Do you think that they could be swapped? I think they're both going to get moved. Yeah. Right. So I think just because Lindholm might come back. He's Euro. He likes Southern California. He's kind of like true. Yeah. He's kind of like Solani. He loves those
loves
waves.
the heat.
He loves the heat. And he loves the waves, right? Okay. And the good dinners. So I think Lindholm might come back. You could still deal him. Manson, I think teams are going to want Manson. I think so too. He's only got a year left, right? Yeah. So I mean, he's been linked to your lease forever. Like, I feel like 2 or 3 years they've said, hey, we're going to get Josh Manson. And I'm like, just get him already. Like, this is the guy we need, especially now. Would you rather have Manson or Sherrod? Oh, that's tough. I don't think either one. Manson brings a little bit more offensively, but Sherrod's got a little bit more bite from what I watched. And that I don't watch a ton of Anaheim games, but I think at the price tag, I want my boy Ben over an MTL. Yeah. I know it's a little bit. It's only about $700K, probably less, but I do like Sherrod's game, and I think he'd be a good addition. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Dallas with Klingberg. Keep him. Deal him. Oh, we run into the scenario where they're almost there too. Yeah, so right now they're in a playoff spot. Edmonton's still right there, but I mean, Edmonton's. I keep him. Yeah. I thought about this a lot. I almost thought he was a guaranteed guy who's going to be dealt before the trade deadline even. But now that we're moving, closer and closer, I feel like Dallas could start to catch heat. You see Jason Robertson, he's playing that type of hockey where he just it's like every night's his night. You know what I mean? If they have more of that going on, I can see them making the playoffs and maybe, like we said, maybe collapsing somebody. Yeah. Let's talk about your lease for a second. Yeah. Well, they won 2 in a row. Yeah. Seattle and Columbus, but who's the starting goalie right now? That's tough. I don't know. I've had no faith in Campbell since January 1st. and I had this question myself in the sense like, okay, like who's been a better goalie since Jan 1? And I think Mrazek's had some better games for sure, but has he been great? No. Like he's gotten dusted a few times and you're like, oh, like this just feels like 2021. Like throw Mrazek in net and he's going to make some stupid stuff. He's just outside of his net constantly. Yeah. Like the guy's 5 feet outside his net. I'm like, what are you doing? Like your defensemen are going to help you out. But yeah, no, Mrazek's better right now. And honestly, like I still have faith in Campbell to turn it around, but
every game I watch, I have less and less. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're not going to get a better opportunity than Seattle.
That was like horrendous.
That should be a shutout game.
Yeah, and like they don't offer up too many shorthanded goals, and the fact that there was one last night, I was punching the steering wheel.
Right. Yeah.
God.
They're just. I think they need 2 defensemen at the deadline for me.
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Sherrod's got to be one, and then there's another X factor there somewhere. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's Chikrin.
That'd be interesting.
They can make a hockey play for him. He had a good night last night. Too.
Touchdown.
Touchdown win over Detroit, which is that's gonna hurt for Detroit.
Yeah.
Arizona, hell of a team down there. But 8 goals on Saturday and 9 last night, so they're just scoring at will.
Yeah.
But Chikrin could be a guy because he's got term. And I know he loves himself some term.
Yeah, he does lick his lips.
He hates the idea of a UFA defenseman.
Yeah.
I don't really understand.
Well, I mean, you got to you have to address your decor, and you don't want to give away. We've already given away so many picks in the last couple of years. As a fan, I get frustrated seeing more picks go out the window that just feel unwarranted.
Right.
I get Richie. Okay, we need to get rid of his contract. It's a 2nd-round pick. It's not sexy, but we got something in term to replace a missing Muzzin.
Right.
I think you put Muzzin on the rest of the year, LTIR, concussions, do his thing. And like you said, go get 2 defensemen. Go get Sherrod. I mean, you know that Sherrod is going to be a great 5-on-5 and PK guy. Yep. That's just his reputation.
You play in the playoffs, you know it.
Yeah.
You saw it last year firsthand.
Yeah, exactly. Whipping my fucking ass.
Matthews is still, he's like, I think if you're a guy like Matthews, Marner, you went every shift against this guy. I'd be like, go get him.
Yeah.
He was clearly a problem because they didn't score against him. But, Chikrin's a guy that could be an addition. I could see that happening. I don't understand the need to go get a forward. I still don't get that. If you have all these players, you don't need a damn forward. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and that's the problem lately is goaltending's been garbage and defense has been garbage. And I mean, I'm a broken record, and I feel like this has been said on this podcast multiple times.
I'm sure I said it.
You can't play the way they're playing right now and expect to win in the playoffs. That's just insane. You know that things are going to get tight. You're not going to be on the power play as much because calls like that don't get called in the playoffs.
They go away. Whistles go away.
And that's why you need, for one, solid goaltending, and 2 guys, defensemen who are going to be able to be a little chippier and stop those major players.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see what anyone listening thinks, because maybe that hasn't been said before, but I really do feel like that's been reiterated on this podcast.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about it and said it. Matthews, the Hart Trophy winner right now.
Oh, he grows closer and closer. I saw a stat last night that said he was for a 79 game pace. He's on for 61 goals, and that just butters my biscuit.
Yeah.
I still have Huberdeau right now.
Really?
Yeah. Call me biased, but I'm gonna stick with my pick from last week. Jonathan Huberdeau, as of right now, Jonathan Huberdeau. If Matthews keeps on this trajectory, he'll be the Hart, I think, because he's more important to the Leafs than Jonathan Huberdeau is to Florida right now.
Agreed. Yeah, I would agree with that. Because Florida they get every line. That produces. Toronto relies on that top line so heavily. Marner and Matthews have to be great. Tavares finally scores a goal, which is a good sign. But every night it's Matthews. We need you to be Batman. We need you to be. We need you to be goth emo and go out there and just attack, right?
Yeah.
I said I think obviously he's gonna win the Rockets. There's no voting on that one, so you just win it.
Yeah.
But the way he's going, I think he's gonna win the Rocket, the Hart, and the Ted Lindsay.
Really?
Because if you win the Hart, you win the Ted Lindsay. They normally go together. It's voted on by the players. I the Selke, I don't think he's a Selke winner.
No,
yet.
not yet.
That's more of a reputation award too. But yeah, I would say still Matthews, Huberdeau, Shesterkin for me.
One guy I wanted to mention is, and he's picked up this year. He's had a great year, but does Johnny Hockey get that rumblings?
To me, like I think he's still right there because if Calgary wins the Pacific and say they get 115 points, and they're winning a lot of they're playing a lot of hockey. They look tired to me last night.
Right.
Toronto just tired. Like a lot of teams are tired right now because they're especially Canadian teams because they had to take a break because of COVID.
Yeah.
But I think if he's got the 1 point less than Matthews. If he keeps playing well and Flames keep winning, it's tough not to put him in there.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, I didn't even know Matthew Tkachuk was top 10 in points. That's like that. It just goes over my head because I don't think of him as that guy, but he's that line has just been unbelievable this year.
Yeah, Lindholm's almost got 30 goals. Gaudreau's got 74. Like it's crazy what they're doing in Calgary.
Yeah.
And Markstrom has been great too. Like he could, like Shesterkin, I said, could be nominated for the Hart. Well, Markstrom could still win the Vezina. I mean, he leads the NHL in shutouts. He's been fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, he is the main reason that they've had this year by far. Because I mean, who was their goaltender before Markstrom? Was it Riddick or I can't?
Big Game Dave.
Big Game Dave isn't going to get these stops.
No.
Let's just be honest.
No. Or Dan Vladar.
Yeah, later.
Later.
Yeah.
I see Casey writes in, Flyers waiting to trade Drew before he hits 1,000 games. I doubt that because if you got a deal, you're making a deal. Imagine you're waiting 1,000 games tomorrow and he blows out his knee tonight and there's no deal. So I think that'd be a good story for Philly because they got nothing to celebrate this year. But
they need that team chemistry too, whatever team picks them up, right?
That's what I don't get, Shades. Why aren't some teams making a deal? I want my player now, not a week from Monday. Like if I can get a guy tonight, make the deal. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me nervous that there's not many there's not many deals set in place right now, and I feel like there's still a lot of mystery out there on what teams want to get and what teams think that they want to go for it, and what teams think they would rather just sell and start preparing for next year.
Yeah, because there's teams that are like Drew's going to move. Philly's not moving up in the standings; they're done. Chychrun, it just depends on if Arizona wants to move him because they're getting big dubs. But Montreal, Sherrod's moving; they're not making the playoffs. Ottawa's kind of an interesting team because they say they don't want to sell, yet they continue to stink, so that they're interesting in a way. But yeah, there's still the Vancouvers. There's those teams.
Dallas, Nashville.
Does any team going to want PK?
Oh my God! If I got him for $1 million and they ate $8 million out of that cap, maybe. But no, it'll be so interesting to see what team picks him up after being so irrelevant for like 3 or 4 years.
I think they felt like they had to release. Like they probably called Chris Johnson. Like, hey Chris, we might move PK. Who? Oh yeah, he's on our team. Yeah, like PK guy.
Yeah, he played for the Habs.
Yeah, Children's Hospital guy. Okay. But I could see him not getting moved to the deadline. No team. What would you want?
I don't.
What role is he going to play? I mean, he can't be a bottom pair defenseman.
No. God, he's a turnover machine.
Yeah.
I'm glad he stopped slew-fleeting people constantly.
Brian Reeves probably saw him the next game and said, "You try that again, I'll rip your
face
off.
I'll break your face." Yeah.
But I don't see him. Fleury. I could see Fleury just saying, I'm going to stay in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't know. It's not a tough contract to move because obviously they can eat a lot of it. Yes. But yeah, for his reputation,
he might just want to stay for his family.
That's his third destination, and honestly, is it going to be a huge impact to whatever team he goes? I got messages last week because I think I was shitting on him a little bit, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Cole?
No, it was Money Makes Moolah,
Sports Makes
Moolah.
Oh, really?
He was dishing me out.
Cole, loves himself some Marcon.
Oh, does he like the flower? Yeah, the dancer, the tiny dancer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think you're right in the sense he probably just more comfortable finishing off the year and then starting new year fresh.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who knows? After playing in a dump like Chicago, it's not good. Not that the city of Chicago is bad, just the team.
Yeah,
Just
the team and the ownership and the situation.
Yeah.
Because it has to be perfect scenario, you know. Like
Yeah.
Toronto would make sense, but I don't think Toronto's going to do it.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either. Dubas has already said I'm happy with my goaltenders, so I don't think we're seeing move.
Yeah, you got those two guys that you thought you could win, so I think it makes sense to hold on to them. But yeah, I mean, Toronto's an interesting spot because they're a good team, but they're still trying to find it. I mean, this is their week for them to dominate because they still got Arizona and they're on fire,
and Buffalo on Sunday.
Yeah, outdoor game.
Is that the outdoor game?
Yeah.
Oh God, they'll find a way to ruin that one. Yeah.
But could you imagine paying? I'm sure tickets are just through the roof in price.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Toronto, but you got to pay an enormous amount to go see Toronto Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't know. I
outside. I know you don't love the cold.
Yeah, the schedulers. I don't know. Whoever picks these games, and you had a poll the other day about whether there's too many outdoor games.
Mm-hmm.
And for one, I used to love how many there were. Now I feel like it's overused big time.
Yeah.
This is the third one this year, and we were fine with two. Like we didn't
Right.
need that third one.
Yeah.
It's becoming just not a pity party. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a money grab.
It's a money grab.
Yeah, and the I'd love to hear what people think about the Toronto jerseys. The first time I saw them,
It's a polarizing poll right there.
Yeah, like anyone who hasn't seen them, go look them up right now. And
I don't like them.
No, me neither. Like I have a T Arenas Marner jersey,
Yes.
and they just took that one and basically made it blue and one white T on it, and that's the jersey. I'm like, where's the creativity? Like that's nonsense.
Do you like the jersey ones that say jersey on it?
Oh no!
What? I love those ones.
No, I don't like those at all. If they said New Jersey, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like it's cool writing. Yeah. But the fact they just say Jersey, like, yeah, it's a jersey's a jersey, brother.
Casey says any Leafs jersey is trash.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Actually, I like their St. Patrick's ones that they wear on St. Patrick's.
Those ones are nice. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a classic. I'm going and getting buckled at the bar in a St. Pat's jersey.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Pack win on the back.
Yeah. Pack win. Yeah.
Did you get one of those?
No,
I feel like one of our
Rankin got one.
Yes.
Rankin got one. I don't know who it was, but he did get one.
Yes, I remember he had one.
Yeah.
He was at a bar, goon.
The rare time. And Casey, we're not going to start talking about the New York Yankees on here, so just better pipe down in the comment section below. Yeah, the pinstripe jerseys.
You know what I think the Yankees could really use is like a golfer. You got a big hat, big sponsorships. You got the pinstripe jersey and then big Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. Yeah, that's
sponsorship money.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Amazon doesn't have their names on those jerseys real soon.
They're gonna be on something like on the helmet. It's gonna say Amazon and then like lower inscription just Toronto. Amazon.
Pretty much. Yeah. Old Bezos.
Yeah, he loves making money. That guy. You worried about Vegas?
If I'm a playoff team in the West?
No, just making the playoffs.
Oh, making the playoffs. They lost to Philly. Yeah, I was about to say that's like if there's any hurt on your reputation, it's losing to a team like Philadelphia 2-1. I'm a tad worried. I don't think goaltending's been all that sharp. Guys are hurt all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The depth I thought was there at the beginning of the year just doesn't seem to be there. I don't find. Like I thought re-signing what's his name? Janmark. Yeah. Matthias Janmark. Yeah. I thought that was a good signing, and he's a big body, does a lot of other things, but his scoring has not been all there this year. Nolan
Patinoff trade was a disaster.
Yeah, he scores last night, but he's not looked great. And it's not great on the books either with what he makes. Mm-hmm. back end, I mean, you got your two big boys, but I don't know. Not having Martinez all year has really hurt them, I feel.
Yes. He's a really good defenseman.
Even at his age too, he's like 30. He's almost 35, and he's still very efficient, which is impressed me the most.
Yeah, and he's a winner. That's one thing about him.
Yeah,
that I really like.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm slightly worried. I'd be more worried if Edmonton wasn't the team trailing them.
Yeah,
like,
little shot there.
You got Anaheim, you got Edmonton, Vancouver. These teams could all sell, or Edmonton could just sell themselves by playing poorly. But like their game against Washington tonight is massive. Like they got to win tonight.
Yeah, and you're catching Washington on a back-to-back, so you really got to hope they're fatigued from their win. Yeah, they won last night.
Samsonov's at net. He can't stop a beach ball lately.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing, just touching on Las Vegas too, the Knights, they put a target on their back when they went out and got Eichel. They said, we were already a good team, or we want to be a powerhouse. Now, for the franchise, it's like, okay, we just brought in this $10 million stud.
Yeah.
Why are we not getting paid dividends on, seeing wins and, high-level performances? So
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see down the stretch if they can kind of pick it up. And like you said, bring Mark Stone back, which would be some capology going on there, and some things had to move.
Yeah, a lot of things got to move right, and then get them back before the playoffs. You got to lose a player. So you're helping, but also hurting your team in a way because it hurts your depth.
Yeah.
So the next week's pressure points for teams like Edmonton, Vegas to see where they are. Assess, I don't see Vegas being able to make a move at the deadline because they have no money.
Yeah.
Eichel was their deadline move.
Exactly.
Edmonton, who knows? That goalie would be nice, but it would be a disaster to trade for even a Georgiev, say a lesser non-Fleury, and miss the playoffs. Like that is a flat-out disaster if you do that, and that could happen. Because LA just keeps winning. They're a tough, stingy bunch. I watched them the other night against Boston. Like they just play hard. Like, they're just a workman-like team. Kopitar has almost played 1,200 games. I saw that game. That stunned me. Like, holy crap, sneaky, quiet, 1,200 games. Browns played like 1,300. I'm like, holy shit, these guys are getting old, but they're finding a way to win.
Yeah, endurance. Yeah, that's one thing you could say about that team. They've been around a time or two.
Yeah, and Doughty, and they have guys that Sean Dursey's been really good on the back end.
Yeah, that Kempe, holy crap!
70 year.
Like 20, he's gonna finish with 30 tucks, and like you made 2 years ago, you're like, who is this guy?
yeah, they were thinking about dealing him not that long ago.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
So, let's flip to the NBA.
Ooh.
I got a player that I think is he's like Jordan and Curry. Not that he's this good yet, but the way he's taken the NBA by storm, and I watched him last night. He's super fun. You think John Morant is on that level right now in the NBA?
Yeah.
Just his impact and just kind of the buzz around him.
Yeah, that's scary because when I thought about this the other day, I'm like, gosh, he's reminding me more and more of an Allen Iverson type player. Like he is just so polarizing. He makes what he did the other night where he posterized a guy, he shot a half court shot, and then also Steven Adams threw it all the way down the court, and he caught it on the baseline and made it. Like
that was unbelievable.
Those are 3 plays. I'm like, okay, Allen Iverson is just written all over this guy. So, no, I mean, I think we're looking at a future MVP type player.
Yes.
And, it was for a while, it was Trae Young was on that trajectory when he first got in the league. It was like, oh, this guy's exciting. He's a playmaker, but he can also shoot really well. And his name is out the window. And John Morant's like this next great point guard coming in.
And I was listening to The Ringer the other day. It was super interesting because, Memphis, you're thinking small market.
Yeah.
It's a crap, right? You can't get 3 seats together.
Really?
Memphis game. They played Orlando Saturday night. It was a sellout.
Oh.
And that just tells you what one player can do.
Yeah.
Because, they're a really good team. They're second in the Western Conference. They passed Golden State. You meant Steven Adams is 28. I thought he was 36. Just because he's been in the NBA forever.
Yes.
But he's like Bane, Williams. I watched them play against New Orleans last night. They're just such an efficient team.
Absolutely.
And the Canadian there, Dylan Brooks, he's not even playing.
Yeah.
He's a really good NBA player as well.
Yeah.
I like this team a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I have no idea. You probably know better than me. Is his timeline to get back this year?
Yeah,
or?
They said he might return before the end of the regular season.
So you had a guy like that, even if he comes off the bench and he's efficient defensively, I mean, that's a scary combination. And they like you said before, they don't know any better. They could ring off just an unbelievable playoff run, and I hope they do. Honestly, like I watched a lot. I watched both times they played the Celtics this year.
Both really good games.
And yeah, I mean, I think it went 1-1, and yeah, unbelievable. Just watching Ja play, like he's almost unguardable, and there's not many players like that. You think of Kevin Durant, LeBron at times is like that, but yeah, he's getting up there, and he's more and more, putting his name in there for MVP.
Yeah,
for sure.
He might be in the 3 because I think it's like Embiid. I don't think you can put LeBron in there.
No, I don't think so.
He's been fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that team's so bad. Like you can't be a 9th seed and be in the MVP discussion. I think Jokic is right there again, and Ja, he'd be close.
He'd be top 5 for sure right now if the season ended, because he is that good to Memphis.
Because Chris Paul got hurt too, and I think he was up there.
Yeah, he was on. Yeah, he was, and crazy how good Phoenix is still even without him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's so fun to watch. I watched him, and last night I'm like, okay, Memphis, New Orleans. New Orleans was on a heater. They're actually playing. CJ McCollum is playing unbelievable. Like last night he had almost 25 points in the first half. They're down 20. Like Memphis, like they got no hope. Like it was like a one-man team, but Memphis just they come at you. So I think they're extremely tough. I'm worried about the Warriors.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really worried about the Warriors. Clay is not what he used to be, which I don't think you could really expect that. 2 knee injuries.
Tough, yeah.
Achilles tear and ACL blow. But he's shooting his worst career percentage, 37% from 3. Curry's shooting 39%, which is his career worst, which is actually pretty good, but for Curry, it's terrible. And I think it just tells us how much they miss Draymond Green. He is so important to that team, and they just look lost. I mean, they win last night, but they during this past stretch they lose to Portland, they lose to the Lakers. They just don't look like they're in the right mindset right now.
Yeah, I watched that game against the Lakers over the weekend, and I just saw so many deficiencies in their team. And to me, the biggest thing for management is if you have a team that's this good and the window for Curry, this nucleus of great players, why not make a move at the deadline? They didn't. I literally checked the trade tracker. They didn't make one move to make their team better.
Which they didn't even get a buyout.
Yeah, so you clearly believe in your team enough that to get to the playoffs, but you're not going to do anything from there. They're a first round exit if they get in. The way they're playing. And I like Kevon Looney. I think he'd be a great backup center. He started every game this year, and it's just not been that good.
Where do you stand on, the new NBA is 3-pointers, and we can play small and all those. But I look at the teams that are really good. They all have a great big.
Yeah, for sure.
And Golden State never has. And they won titles without it, so you can't really –
Yeah.
They were built different than they are.
Absolutely.
Durant, they were
you could say the best center of all their rings was Andrew Bogut when he was first there. And I mean, that was 2015 when they won that.
But do you think you need a good big to win still in the NBA?
Well, look at historically. Brook Lopez, I don't think is a dominant center. He was there last year.
Right.
You had Anthony Davis, who obviously when he was playing in the bubble, he was a top 5-6 player in the NBA at that point. I do think you need a fairly decent center, but I don't think you have to have an elite one. Like I don't think you have to have an Embiid Jokovic, but I do think you need to have somebody more competent than a
like DeAndre Ayton should be a good enough center to win.
He should be. Yeah, he should be. Yeah, especially with the growth he's had from last year to this year. I've seen improvements in his game.
And for a team like Milwaukee, Giannis can be your big because he lives in pain.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but I look at your Celtics. I watched that game on Sunday with the Nets, which is great. And we'll get to Tatum in a minute, but Robert Williams had 5 blocks in the first half. Like that team plays defense, but he was so active, and he's not even. You mentioned he's not elite, but he's good.
Yeah.
And I think he's only getting better as a player. He could be a good enough guy to be a big on a championship winning team.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what they've believed in him since day one. And obviously he came off the bench when Horford was here the first time, and he's only gotten better and better every year. And they've gave him the room to grow and become that elite, not elite, I guess I would say, but that really, really good shot blocking center and a guy who can control the paint when he's down there. And he's not the tallest. It's kind of he's probably only about 6'9".
Yeah.
So if you are going up against like a Embiid, Jokic type center, then it's going to hurt you sometimes. Gobert as well. But I think with his build, I think he is able to compete at least a decent least
Yeah, because he blocked.
I'd be scared though if I got an Embiid versus him matchup. I think it could be 30 every game.
Yeah, I think it would depend on how much they use their center. Like Brooklyn uses Drummond some, but not enough that would make you be like, okay, we need a bigger guy in here, right? But your Celtics. I mean, I think Tatum had his best game of his career on Sunday.
Yeah.
What really impresses me about him is he's passing the ball.
Yeah.
And he's not getting 10 assists a game, but he's getting 5 or 6. He's keeping the defense honest, and he's looking like he's becoming a superstar.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at great players like that. If that's in your game, you're making your whole team better.
Yes.
You can be a 30-point guy, but your team's going to stink still. Like, I'll take Brandon Ingram for a second. I think Brandon Ingram can be a great, great player and score at will. But if you can't dish the ball and you know that you're just going to get double teamed every game.
Right.
And they're going to put their best defender on you. That's why, if you become an elite scoring threat, you also have to add that to your game. I think it's just mandatory in order for you to take that next level.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because they don't really have Marcus Smart's not a point guard per se.
Right.
He's kind of a 2 guard. I do think he's playing really well right now.
He's starting a lot too, which is good.
Yes, I agree. I think that's pivotal for them. But just think that when you shoot and you think you're going to pass, it's a better look for you too, because you're going to be more wide open. So they're going to cheat a little bit, right? But even he's driving, kicking in the lane, Smart's wide open for 3.
Right.
Like that's where you want Marcus Smart shooting threes, not with 2 guys in front of him.
No.
That happened a lot because it was just dribble, oh, late shot clock, fired.
Yeah.
Now they play defense, they rebound. Tatum's an all-around player, and they look like a threat to me.
Subtle changes at the deadline have helped. Derek White, I think, has been great. He's not starting a ton, but the production he's getting off the bench from him has been good. Thies, he's good, but he's just getting backup minutes, which makes sense. But they're starting to find a rhythm, and like you said, the defense that was there the last couple of years that have really, have won those tight games is finally back.
Yes,
and that's what makes them feel like a more normal Boston Celtics team.
Yeah,
like the scoring was there all year. Like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum could just score at will,
right?
But you needed that strong defensive core, and that's what I felt like has changed. Funny how Marcus Smart called them out at the beginning of the year, said something, and now I don't know if it resonated with them now or something's changed, but here they are. Here Jason Tatum is passing the ball and probably having more dishes than he has before.
And I think maybe it was just like, holy shit, we're losing, all the time.
Could have been,
It could have just been something as simple as that, because they lose every game and get tired of it. And I'm sure for him and competitors, like, okay, we need to make a change here.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your hierarchy of Eastern Conference? If you had to go 1 to 3 right now.
Yeah, I listed all of mine, but
go through it.
I have Miami still, and it's easy to say because they're at top, but I look at Miami. Kyle Lowry has not been in the lineup very much, and if he is, he's usually pretty good. Victor Oladipo is a name. What are your thoughts on him? Like, this is a guy who hasn't played all year, but has had past success being a scoring guard.
Right.
Do you think they need that, or do you think they need him to be quiet off the bench?
I'd bring him off the bench.
Right.
And I'd hope he could have less of an ego.
Yeah,
and
that's
be kind of the anti-Russell Westbrook. Like, if the Lakers could have taken Russell Westbrook off the bench at the beginning of the year, I don't think they'd be in this position. But if he can just come off the bench, be Jordan Clarkson,
Yeah.
That would.
They'd have two really good guards coming off the bench.
Yeah.
They'd have him and Tyler Hero.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Hero is playing unreal,
Yeah.
and you get Oladipo. I mean, that's hard to defend.
Is he your sixth man this year?
It's hard not to say him because he's gotten, I think, 15 games of over 20 points this year.
Yeah. The key is his
Him or
buckets.
Carson.
Yeah. And I mean, Clarkson does a lot of great things too, scoring wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just look at Tyler Hero and what he's done for the team, I guess. I know Utah is still in the middle Western pack, but just seeing Miami be at the top and him being a big part of that makes me want to put him sixth man of the year. Yeah. From Miami, I guess I have Milwaukee, who I still think's great. And for some reason, I have 76ers dropping before the year ends. Mm-hmm. Like if this is I guess my projection, if things were to go how I think they will play out, right?
Yeah.
So I just have Milwaukee because I think they are still so good. I still think that they're a championship caliber team. And then I have the 76ers. And I mean, that's for obvious reasons. They have 40 wins right now. Mm-hmm. When James Harden's in the lineup, they just seem to be a completely different team. And when he's not, they just fall flat in their face.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're good. I'm looking forward to that game tomorrow night.
Well, so I'm sure we're going to get to that, but
yeah.
Ben Simmons still has soreness. If whoever doesn't know, but he's traveling. I love that I got the highlight. Yeah. Ben Simmons is traveling with the team. Yeah. Like, was he just not going to go? Is he just going to be a coward and not show up?
It almost makes no sense for him to go if he's not going to play. So you're just going to sit there in street clothes
and get booed.
Yeah. Like those people in Philly are ruthless.
Oh,
but he doesn't have back tightness.
No.
I just think it's ridiculous. He's clearly waiting till after this date, so he doesn't have to play in the game.
Yeah, I have a bet with you. How many games after does he come back? Less than 5 or
schedule right now?
Because if it's less than 5, it's so evident that you missed this game on purpose.
I think it's going to have to be less than 5 because there's only so many games left.
Yeah, and they are tight. Yeah,
and
they are tight.
Number one needs to win, but also needs some damn chemistry. Like
if you told me any team that has less chemistry in the last, I would say 20 years, I don't know if I can name one more than this Brooklyn team. Yeah. They just never get a chance to play with each other.
Right. Like you look at Kyrie last night, so efficient, drops 50. You're like, this could have been all year. But no, I can't go get a vaccine, and I just got to bitch and complain.
Yeah.
He'll play Saturday. I don't think he'll play Saturday.
Okay. So
after the weekend. Monday.
That would be.
I think he'll play. Let's say, they play Thursday. They play tomorrow night. I think he plays within the week. That's my guess.
That's
bad. That is pathetic. Oh yeah, but I think he plays within the week.
Yeah. James, what's the over/under? Is James Harden going to play? I don't know. He's been in and out of the lineup.
I think he said he was traveling with the team, so I think he's going to play.
He plays. What's his first game against his old team look like? We're always talking about Ben Simmons, but
yeah, it's in Philly, so he's got the home crowd. So he's not people aren't yelling at him. Triple-double.
Triple-double? Are you over the under 30 points?
Under.
He's dishing. He's giving it
out.
He
will drop 35.
Yeah, it's a big game because
could be a first round.
Yeah, which would be hilarious. I know we joked about it last week, but it would be so funny.
If Philly could get the 2 seed, because I don't think they'll catch Miami, but maybe they're right there with Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Brooklyn were to beat the Raptors, say for that 7th spot, it'd be Philly and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What's Simmons going to come up with then? Mental health?
Yeah. Back soreness every other night.
Yeah. That's just so pathetic. I think it'd be hard to be his teammate because he's not hurt.
Yeah.
Like Seth Curry must hate the guy's guts. Like he had him in Philly, now he's got him in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he was probably jumping for the roof when he thought Simmons was getting dished, and then he heard his name. He's like,
"Oh, I'm coming too."
Yeah, I'm along with the ride.
Yeah.
Oh my god, pathetic. What about you? Your top 3 in the East right now?
Yeah, I got Miami 2, Miami, Milwaukee. I'd probably have to say Philly too because I don't trust Chicago.
Yeah, they've slipped.
No, actually, Boston 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that shows a lot. I didn't have enough confidence in myself.
Yeah, Boston 3. I don't trust Chicago. I don't think Cleveland's gonna win yet. They're good, but they're not there yet. Darius Garland a stud. But what do you think about LeBron going back there next year?
I think it's a cop out. I think it's this team has gotten significantly better since I've left, and they're a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ride the wave. I'm gonna get back on this, and we'll see what we can do.
It would certainly be him lowering his ego because he'd have to admit, okay, these guys are better at team building than me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted Westbrook, and he's been bricking it up.
Yeah. Well, he's been the GM there for what feels like 2 or 3 years. So.
Yeah. Give me Dwight. Give me all these old guys.
It would be a little bit of an ego shock for him, which I think would be warranted because he probably needs it.
Right.
Like he's slowly ruining his career. I've watched clips where he's giving up on plays. He's not really playing that well at defense. So even though you see the stats sometimes where he's putting up 20, he's
playing for Kareem.
Yeah, but he's not playing with heart, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, and you lose he doesn't play Monday against San Antonio, so I don't even know what his health. They play the Rockets tonight, so hopefully they can.
If they can't beat the Rockets,
they can't beat anybody.
Yeah, it's a write-off. Yeah, end your season right away.
No, I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs because I think it's gonna be really good this year.
Yeah, me too. I think that
there's no I think Cleveland, whoever Cleveland plays, that's not an easy series.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago will be tough.
You finally get to see Memphis play a round, right?
Memphis, even Memphis T-Wolves would be fun.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah. If we got to see, I don't know the rankings in the West right now, but to see a Doncic versus Morant would be really entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Dallas play Utah. Yeah, that was he's one of those players that when he feels it, he just knows he's going to get it in.
You can't stop him.
No, he's shooting from anywhere.
I'm sure you remember this in the first quarter. He just he had the ball twice, same spot, and on basically the top of the key, just outside the 3-point line. And they're guarding him pretty well. They're right on him, and he just stepped back and it switched. It was the same exact.
Well guarded, not bad defense.
Hey, come at me. You can't play. And they didn't even have Brunson. I think Dallas is pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, they finally got rid of Porzingis. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a crazy thing. You're like, okay, this guy's their number 2, and you get rid of him, and they're just automatically still there.
Is balling out.
Yeah, he had a good game too. I thought he played well.
I prefer him off the bench, and it'd be interesting to see Brunson and Doncic start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's with those two in there, that's a lot of firepower.
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway's not playing either, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks on their health, really.
Yeah. But I think it's gonna be a fun playoff. I didn't tell you to prepare for this question.
Okay.
What's your top 3 sports movies of all time? Top of the program.
Tell me. You did actually tell me. You did throw us in the text. Yeah. But I forget. No, it's all good. Top 3 movies. This was tough. This was really tough. And, I'm looking online. I'm asking friends, getting things. But my 3 is Coach Carter.
Okay.
And this is a movie that I watched a long time ago, and I've rewatched it 3 or 4 times probably. Mm-hmm. And I just love the story, love the comeback. These bunch of goons basically take them and make them come, outstanding gentlemen. And I thought it was really good. 2, I have Miracle,
right?
Which just an all-timer. Gets you fired up every time you watch it.
It's a good movie.
And 1 is Happy Gilmore.
Wow.
Yeah. Happy. And the reason is because that's my number 1 is because, well, for 1, it's a great Adam Sandler movie, but 2, you're taking a sport that's it's got so many old prestigious men and, got their nose so far up and you're just turning it on its head and saying, what if we put this goon in here and would see what happens. So, and, I think the sport needs something like that. So.
Yeah. No, I never thought about that one. That's a good one. Coach Carter with Denzel or Samuel?
Coach Carter's with Samuel Jackson. Yeah. Big bald guy. Yeah. I have a couple honorable mentions here too, but if you want to name off your 3.
Go ahead.
Any Given Sunday. Love that movie. Yeah. Jamie Foxx, great flick. Friday Night Lights and Moneyball.
Moneyball's really good.
Yeah.
Moneyball's good. I like that one. I had Major League on here.
Okay.
I don't mind it. There's movies. My top 3 are really bad movies.
That's okay, but if they're smart movies, they're still good.
Draft Day is not a good movie, but I like it because it's like Kevin Costner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was kind of like, well, I do like Happy Gilmore, but I put The Waterboy in there.
I forgot. I do love that.
It's so stupid. Like it's but the whole football angle, him just running over people.
You remember Bobby Boucher?
Yeah.
You made back to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. But yeah,
No, all good movies though. Still, like good sports flicks.
For me, I think sports movies most of them are bad. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
But you're just like, what's the most entertaining?
Yeah, fair. No, that's it. And like, usually ones that give you laughs, like Waterboy, usually end up being some of your favorites.
Right. Like Longest Yard's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a goofy movie, but you're gonna get a chuckle every time you watch it.
Right.
A sports movie that I saw come up, and this one it's new to theaters. The Underdog one with Kurt Warner. Is that a movie you'd watch?
Yeah, I do plan to watch it. I did see. I remember that came out on Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely watch it. I mean, it's an interesting story. Just packing groceries for a while.
Right. So yeah, I guess like for anyone who doesn't know, like what's kind of the outline of his story?
So yeah, he went undrafted in the NFL. He only had one college offer.
Okay.
So then he was playing in the USFL. He played in the AFL. He was bagging groceries at the time. He got a call invite to camp. Went to St. Louis, impressed the Rams, made the team as a backup. There was an injury. He took over. The next year, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. Worth a movie.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Yeah.
You need, in order to be a sports movie, it has to be interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like Tom
Blindsided.
Brady. Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about the blind. That's a good movie. That's actually a good sports. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock is nice to look at too. But I like her with the blonde hair. But yeah. It has to be compelling. Like Tom Brady, if he has a movie, I think it'll be good. As long as he doesn't play himself.
Oh, that would be the ultimate movie.
Well, I heard they're making a movie this summer, and Brady's in it.
Oh,
He's producing it.
Really?
He's in the movie.
Is his buddy Gronkowski in it? He's in flicks too.
They're both bad. Like they're both like The Rock. Like that's how it just like Gronk is like The Rock 2.0.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, just a big meathead.
Fast 10, the villain. Gronk.
He might. Who knows? Yeah. I was talking about that last night with my brother. I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. Like, because the last movie obviously was so ridiculous, and you probably don't even want to talk about this on your podcast.
Well,
but,
go ahead.
Yeah,
other people like it.
I'm just saying, like, what could they do above the stupid shit?
Dumb.
Yeah. Essentially, like what are you gonna do to top this stupid foolishness? So,
Yeah.
I think Battling Aliens is probably next. It's probably coming up.
It's a curveball there.
Movie I've never watched. I asked my brother about this last night. He's like, "How have you never watched this?" Remember the Titans? I've never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, never. I don't, for whatever reason, I've never had it on.
Yeah, I had to watch it in high school a few times.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Classes.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay. It's better than Fast 9. I haven't seen Fast 9. I know it's better than that. But sorry, Warren. But yeah, thanks for coming in studio.
Hey,
appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Before we sign off, I got something for you. So I'm gonna go grab it.
Sure.
Leave camera here. Be right back.
Yeah. Anyone who doesn't get the full tour, this place is really, really cool.
I want to give you a to the point hat.
Oh, effing right.
I wanted to get you the hat.
I saw these on the way, and I thought, damn, I need to get one of these bad boys.
So
okay.
I'll give you a hat.
I need something to cover this bad hairline up. So thanks, brother. I need
no
that.
No problem, man. We'll do this again. So I enjoyed you coming in. So.
Yes. Next time we get a round table going, get the fellas in here.
No, we're signing off, so you can stay if you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was my cue to get out of here.
No, we're gonna sign off together.
Okay.
We're at the end here. Casey says lots of bogeys and double bogeys in that hat this summer.
Oh, only in the Miramichi, buddy.
Oh. That's not a whole lot of confidence in you.
Why? No, I'm talking about him in Miramichi.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean for him?
Yeah,
Case. I haven't done a lot warranted, but I'm going to take my golf game strict this year. I got some time off and getting some lessons at the beginning of the year. So I think you're going to be surprised when I make my first trip up to the She.
And you could say he's cheating because he's going to the simulator every night.
Yeah, I don't.
After his new puppy.
Yeah, you need to start hanging out with Lynx and get off the simulator here, Wardo. I don't know. It might not be a great look for you.
It's not a good parenting style. I'd recommend it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to judge anybody's parent. Oh, he says LMFAO. I'm just. Is a sim really practice, or is it getting away from the wife and kids?
Yeah,
that's something.
Yeah.
For a guy that doesn't drink, that's basically the equivalent.
Yeah. So, I'm going out to hit a couple balls. I gotta get better for the season, babe.
Yeah. I don't. That's nobody to judge. I'm just saying. It's just the point. But yeah, I have faith in you. You're gonna have a good summer at golf there.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. We'll do it again soon. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. As always, this is To The Point.